Welcome to Dirty Fanatics United.
Falcon fans, Falcon Nation, you are watching Dirty Fanatics United. If you're new to the channel, man, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe and bring the comments to the Loud Podcast. I am your host, C Money, founder of DFU, followed by my awesome star of co-host, Mr. Robert, a.k.a. Megabiff, is here to talk Falcon football with us tonight. Falcon fans, hit that like button, bring the topics. Robert, what's going on, brother? You were not here for the the Seahawks versus the Atlanta Falcons recap. So while we got a short minute, we might as well just dive straight into that. Robert, your thoughts of the game last Sunday, a horrendous act of the Atlanta Falcons to put on that style of performance for your Atlanta Falcon fans at home. Robert, your thoughts on that massacre that happened in Atlanta Sunday?
I honestly think that the team has finally quit on Raheem. I think he's totally lost the locker room. The defense, played well in the first half, but, you've got to keep in mind, I mean, I don't care if this is the 1985 Chicago Bears. I don't care if it's the 1978 Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't care if it's the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. If your offense is inept, your defense is going to get tired. And there's only so much that this defense can do. And just, we're mathematically eliminated now. This is 2 years in a row that we let them come into our house and dog walk us like that. 2 years in a row. Inexcusable. Something's got to change. Don't know if anything's going to be changing immediately or until after the season or at all. But just something's got to give. Or, not only, like I said, not only is Raheem, lost the locker room, but, front office could lose a lot of the fan base too.
Absolutely right, Robert. You hit the nail on the head with what you said on last game against the Seattle Seahawks Sunday. Not a very good viewing for Atlanta Falcon fans at the stadium or at home watching behind the TV. I am followed by my guy, Mr. David Recognized Game, is here to talk Falcon football with DFU tonight. Robert, what's going on, brother? How you doing this afternoon?
We're good. We're good. Just coming back in from my daughter's basketball game. We're running a few minutes late, but I'm with you guys. Let's
did she get the W, David?
Well, they got the W. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, one of the tough teams in the state right now. So. We're rolling pretty good with them right now. Just proud of that team. So repping the Newton Lady Rams tonight. So
yes, sir. Nothing wrong with that, man. We rep them all here on the podcast. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Shout out to Mr. Mark with the first comment in the chat. He said, I do agree. Mr. Mark, a new face here in the comment section. Shout out to Mark for coming through the last 3 podcasts. Mark has been in the comment section. We appreciate you. Mark says, Raheem has received a vote of confidence from Arthur Blank. He very well has. That hit the news media this week. That if this was a rumor coming from ESPN that if Raheem Morris could find a new OC, that he would possibly give Raheem Morris another year with the amount of respect that he has for Raheem Morris. We're going to dive into that very shortly. But tonight is the night to talk about the NFC South Throwdown, the Atlanta Falcons versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. David, you will be in the house for that game. I'm sure you're probably getting ready and packed up now for 2 days away. You'll be in Tampa Bay.
Yes. Yep. We're gonna roll flying out in the morning about 11:30. Get down there, hanging out with a few of the guys. Actually, Mark that had the first comment. He's one of the guys that's flying down with me. We had lunch there. I made sure that he was able to. He's not real tech savvy, so we got to subscribe, notification bell on there, so he'll be able to, follow and catch up with us. He loves talk Falcon football. He's one of the another diehard Falcon fan. He's never been shy of a comment, so he'll keep it rolling for us.
Hey, we appreciate Mr. Mark for coming through. Any and every new subscriber that we gained over the last podcast, 4 new subscribers. Shout out to each and every one of you guys. We appreciate y'all for coming through and hitting that subscribe button, supporting DFU. Me and the gang here as we talk Falcon football. Guys, we're going to jump right into this matchup, a rivalry matchup. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers do lead that matchup with one narrow win, which they received in the bins this year, week 1 against the Atlanta Falcons. I think it's 37-36 is what the all-time record is for this matchup. So it's a very close one. We pair very well against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have for the past several years. You lose those games marginally by a touchdown or a field goal most of the time. Same with winning those games. It's a nitty-gritty NFC South division rival, and we're going to cover it today, starting off with our injury report for the Atlanta Falcons. Some good news, I would say, and then some not so great news. At least you did, Jalen Walker left the game this Sunday with a groin injury. He was a limited participant today in walkthroughs in Flowery Branch. Cordell Hodge also was limited with a shoulder injury. Tight end Kyle Pitts with a knee injury was limited participant. And then we also mentioned Jalen Walker with the quad. Cornerback A.J. Terrell was limited with a neck injury. Brandon Dolores back practicing again, limited in practice with a groin injury. Chris Lindstrom limited in practice with a foot injury. And David Onamata limited in practice with a foot injury. Caden Ellis was a full participant with an elbow strain, but he was able to rock it out and get on the field with those guys. Another one for 4 weeks straight, Drake London was a non-participant in walkthroughs this week, expected to miss another game here in a very big rival against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Heading over to the Buccaneers side, let me pull out this paragraph because, guys, they have a lot of banged-up players over in Tampa Bay, but some familiar faces returning to that roster as we get ready to head to Tampa Bay. Their guard Ben Brinson was a non-participant. Linebacker Dennis was a non-participant. Defensive back Christian Eisen was a non-participant. Tight end Cade Otten with a knee injury was a non-participant. Offensive linebacker Hassan Reddick, safety Tyke Smith were all non-participants. Now when you go to their limited practice, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, tight end Tristan Wirfs, Bucky Irvin, and Baker Mayfield were all limited participants. I'm sure those last 2 names, Baker and Bucky, is just to kind of let those guys get back to a full heal situation. They have been playing banged up for the past several weeks. And then obviously they have Rashad Winston, who is on IR with a quad injury. So a banged up team going against another banged up team in Tampa Bay late in the season. It's week 15 now, guys. We're getting on into the end times here for the Atlanta Falcons season. You have, after Thursday night's game, you have 3 games left on the schedule. Was hoping to get Drake London back, guys. With Kyle Pitts, being, from what Zach Robinson stated today in a news conference, his top target with Drake London not on the field. You've seen the yardage last week, 90 yards. The previous week, he went for 84 yards. How do you feel about, already a banged up receiver core group with a tight end Kyle Pitts on the limited participant? Could we see a Nick Nash elevated? I would think that would already been done if you were going to see a Chris Blair, Nick Nash elevation early on in the week. Just your guys' thoughts on the injury list that we ran through that is pretty stout here for the Atlanta Falcons. And we're not talking about depth players, guys. We're talking about starters here in Atlanta that have continuously been on this injury report week after week.
Yeah, that's been the story of the season. We get some momentum going, and then we get a key starter that goes out. I think that we were rolling good until Diablo went out, and it seemed like the defense couldn't really, close out games. Offense didn't play terrible during those stretches, except for, those blowout games.
Yeah.
But, we were in most games, one score game, and, a lot of those games we had fourth quarter leads. And then, it's a game where we missed D. Alford. It's a game playing the nickel. It's,
Billy Bowman goes out with the Achilles.
Billy Bowman. And, it just seemed like if we had, and we always left with the if we had this player in this week, things might have been different. You know,
David,
if
I don't mean to cut you off, but you brought up a good point about it's been 1-point games, 3-point games here this season for the Atlanta Falcons. We talked about it Sunday after the game. You're 2-9. We're in week 15, people. That's 11 games that you've lost this year, or 11 total games that was 2 won by a single possession and 9 lost by a single possession. Like, as you stated, David, if you just had those key pieces, if you had that Diablo throughout that 5-game stretch that you lost, or a Billy Bowman, or, you know, a healthy Jalen Walker all season, man, what those numbers could be, what the role could be reversed if the Atlanta Falcons could stay healthy this season. You know, you lost Lindstrom a couple of games throughout that stretch as well. And then not to mention, you're going on 4 weeks now without your top receiver that's at 800 and something yards on the year already.
Yeah, that's what it's saying. You know, it's been the story of the season. Like saying, 1-score games. Last year, I think we were had a winning record in the 1-score games. Was what, 5-2? I think we said 5-2. And if we had those same percentages this year, where we winning those close games, you know, we'd be sitting here talking a whole different story. We'd be talking about us or Carolina, you know, winning the division right up there with Tampa. So we're
Robert. It's been a couple of podcasts. I know you've been a busy guy on the road, working steady out of town. So we're glad to have you here tonight to get your opinion on this year's faults as it comes to, you know, receiver room. And you fired the Ike Hillard in week 3. You haven't had a significant play, you know, receiver other than Drake London. Darnell Mooney has fallen off tremendously this season. Kyle Pitts, hit or miss as per usual. And then you talk about some of these younger guys like David Seals that the Atlanta Falcons continuously put on the field. Casey Washington, a healthy scratch now 3 weeks in a row. Cordell Hodge being banged up. They throw out Drummond here and there, the new guy, Thompson. We have yet to see a KJ Bolden that the Atlanta Falcons signed. Robert, your thoughts on just the Atlanta Falcons' initial thoughts, or like, I mean, what's going on with the Atlanta Falcons receiver room?
I don't understand why they can't elevate Nash and Blair from the practice squad. You know, we've got these guys. I mean, and they've shown their potential in camp. You know, and you know they held on to him and put him on the practice squad for a reason. And you know, we're already eliminated. You know, our top receiver's banged up. Our number 2 guy is, you know, he was banged up too, and you know that's probably contributing to the decline in production. But you know, why not bring these kids up and evaluate them? You know, and really put them on the field and see what we got. I mean, we have nothing to lose now.
You're absolutely right. You're eliminated from the playoffs. You want to know what you have when it comes to free agency if you have to go deep at that spot, because me and David and Cody spoke about it Sunday night. You have a lot of receivers that are going to be big name receivers that are going to hit the free agency boards when it comes to the offseason. So why not see what a Nick Nash can bring to the football team? Why is Casey Washington a healthy scratch for 3 weeks in a row? I brought up a statement. Go ahead.
I know one thing about Nick Nash from what I've seen in all the tape that I've watched, you know, in the preseason. He's going to catch the ball. You know, if you get it close to him, if it hit his hands, he's going to catch the ball. So that's better than anybody that elevated so far. You know, all the elevations, you get the ball to him, and the ball's hitting on the ground. So if you get it close to him, it seems like he's going to catch the ball. But I would definitely like to see him get an opportunity just to see whether he could compete at the NFL level. You know, he's I know he's young to the receiver position. I think he was a converted quarterback. Doesn't have any top end speed, but the guy seemed, you know, he didn't break all these records in college by not being able to get open. That's you know, right. So you know, just give kid a chance.
I absolutely agree. You know, I even want to know the situation with KJ Osborne, a guy you brought that has chemistry with Kirk Cousins. We have yet to see elevated or even signed to the 53-man roster. Kobe Bryant was a guy that they dropped last week to bring up a receiver, which was Drummond, that played but had 2 catches, I think, in last Sunday's game. So, you know, we talked about dropping balls. Nick Nash, as Mr. Mark says, is a sure-handed receiver. David Seals so far has not proven that he is. He's had some decent flashes since he's been on the field, but there's been a lot of passes, guys, like Sunday, the ball hit him in the chest and it ended up being an interception on the screen pass. It was a terrible play. I'll give him that excuse, but the Atlanta Falcons cannot depend on a single tight end in Kyle Pitts to make big plays, guys. We've seen Pitts make big plays. We've seen Kyle Pitts bust big plays. So you just don't never know when it comes down to. And this game Sunday or Thursday night will be a showout. Like, it's going to be a showdown, as it always is. The Atlanta Falcons and the Bucs went for both 20-something points last game. You're going to have to score touchdowns. You're going to have to get the big plays. As any NFC South division rival game, you have to hit on the big plays. So if it isn't Kyle Pitts, could it be Darnell Mooney? Is this Darnell Mooney's game? I mean, we've said this 3 weeks in a row now. Still no production out of Darnell Mooney.
In the little fantasy league down here, I took a flyer on Mooney last week, thinking that he no Drake, thinking that he had to be the receiver that was going. I was happy when he got the touchdown. That wasn't a touchdown, but they called it back.
Yeah. Definitely. Just speaking on that for a minute, they robbed us of that touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, they absolutely robbed us of that touchdown. Mooney steps back in, gets 2 feet in the ball, in the plane of field before he touches the ball. If it wasn't a touchdown, if it wasn't a catch, it should have been a personal PI on the defensive cornerback. Something should have been done there when it came to that play. That was
in every game that I've seen, they always call that a score, so it can be reviewed.
That's right, and it was called a score, and they didn't review.
But then then they talked about themselves. But they always call it a touchdown, then go back and look at it. Then
that's right,
because there's not a play that you can challenge, from my understanding. So if you don't call it a touchdown, we just out of luck.
David, you kind of brought me to one of our topics tonight, and I was going to wait for later in the show to do that, but we were speaking about Darnell Mooney, and you brought him the word fantasy football. Tonight, one of our topics is fantasy football impact players for Thursday night game. David, are you telling me to sit Darnell Mooney Thursday night?
If you put Mooney in your lineup, you don't want to
win. David, Robert, if you had to give one player I don't know if you play any fantasy football, but if you had to give one player that you think makes an impact Thursday night or is just an absolutely god-awful start for your fantasy team, what name would you throw out there?
Are we talking about Bucs, Falcons? Is that
either squad? Either squad. What name do you think stands out? Who do you think should take a seat if you're playing fantasy football that week?
Oh man, as far as taking a seat with us, I got to agree with David. Don't start Mooney. No.
I'm gonna go with a obvious. This is a pretty obvious for any fantasy football players that are out there. You start Bijan Robinson.
Yes.
Start Bijan Robinson because he's gonna get possibly 80 yards tomorrow or Thursday night rushing the football. You definitely on my end sit Darnell Mooney. I'm not starting Darnell Mooney, and I'm also not starting Kirk Cousins. Your thoughts on Kirk Cousins, David?
I would. He's nowhere close to, no.
The return of Mike Evans, could that be an impact for fantasy football players if it's a Mike Hughes matchup?
No, Mike Evans, I'm not going to – a lot of the reasons that I will lose some fantasy leagues and some week daily fantasy is because I will never play a player that –
I knew that's where he was going with it because I'm the same way.
Yeah, I can't even I'll sit there and say, well, I'm pretty much sure that this player is going to have a decent scoring week. But he playing against the Falcons, so he won't make it to my lineup. So
yeah, he won't.
I'll probably negate. I just can't see myself doing it.
Hey, well, I think that's going to be a cool little topic for us to do as we get on into the later end of the season, the last 4 games, also into the playoffs. We won't be talking a lot of Falcon football at that time, but DFU will still be live with you, bringing you NFL content, whether that's talking about the Georgia Bulldogs or covering NFL playoff games. We'll bring you your daily or weekly, I should say, fantasy football impact players here from DFU. Just a new little topic I figured we'd try out tonight. I kind of like it. We'll see how it goes for us the rest of the season. Mr. Mark says, Mike Pereira said it was a touchdown. He did very well say that. He came on the screen after the play, once we were kicking the ball off, after we scored the field goal, and said that he had no idea why the referees did not review that play that he reestablished 2 points of contact in the marker line before he touched the football. He said that was most definitely a touchdown that the Atlanta Falcons were robbed of. So
good that did us.
Yeah, a lot of good it did us. But shout out to Mike Pereira for calling out his refereeing crew because they absolutely shit the bed on that call. That was a turning point, David. That was Robert. I mean, that was a big play. That was before halftime. You were tied already, or you weren't tied. You were up. At the time, you'd have been up 10-3 heading into halftime. You ended up going into halftime 6-6 with the awful prevent defense that you ran in that 2-minute drill. Mike Hughes getting beat badly all game last week. I don't know what we're going to do with Mike Hughes, people, but that is not a cornerback too.
Yeah, I think I posted in the chat where they rushed one player on that play and dropped 10, and they still find a hole in the defense to, for that big play to get them in field goal range. I was like,
yes.
Come on.
It not too great. So when it comes to the matchup Thursday night against a divisional opponent that right now currently sits tied in first place with the Carolina Panthers, if you were the coach, Robert, we'll start with you. If you were the coach for tomorrow night's game, the Atlanta Falcons, obviously, what is your game plan to beating a Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense and a somewhat mediocre, kind of fly-high at one point this season offense with the return of now week 2 or week 3 of the return of Bucky Irvin? What is your game plan to stop those players and to also put up points against a NFC South division rival?
Well, with the receiving core being banged up and, if our only healthy set of hands right now is Kyle Pitts, I mean, it bothers me because and he was limited. I mean, we're going to become one-dimensional as far as the run game goes. So if we're going to do that, then you're going to have to keep fresh legs out there. You can't just run constantly. You can't run Bijan constantly. You can't run Tyler constantly. You're going to have to split those carries. Mm-hmm. Probably a lot of if the protection will hold up, Kirk's going to have to take some deep shots. I mean, against the Seahawks on Sunday, it was these little short curl routes, and it's like he was afraid to try to push the ball down the field. And as far as stopping the Bucs and Bucky Irving, I think that if the defense doesn't get tired, if they're not on the field too long, I think they'll be fine. Mm-hmm. I think we've got the goods to keep their offense in check.
Mr. David, the same question goes to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we'll see Tyler get a lot more carries and use Bijan more in the passing game, maybe, since we're so limited in pass catchers and everything. Yep. I know that we did see him and Bijan and Tyler on the field a little more together against the Seahawks. Now we need to, Pitts might be a good. Now that we think about it, Pitts might be a good, fantasy start. If we're going to lean heavy on him, if he, if he do see the field. I know you say he was limited, but maybe that's just. We'll see how that go. But maybe you need to use Bijan a lot more in the passing game and have feature Tyler more as the running back. That if I was a coach, maybe I could lean to that, being that we can't find another dependable set of hands. So
I agree. My lovely friend ChatGPT gave me a couple of stats today before we went live here on the podcast, and the Atlanta Falcons in the all-time matchup against Tampa Bay Buccaneers seem to always put up more rushing yards than the Tampa. A clear 1,000 in the total matchup. The Falcons have over 7,000 rushing yards to their 6,000. The Falcons win that margin tremendously when we faced the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the last previous matchups. Tampa has somehow seemed to put up more points than us in the last few matchups, but the Atlanta Falcons just a season ago swept the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the bins in Tampa. So I don't see why not the Atlanta Falcons couldn't go in and be the spoiler to ruin their number 1 seed here, or not number 1 seed, but number 1 spot in the NFC South. Granted, you do give the Panthers the lead if you beat the Bucs, but at the end of the day, guys, it's an NFC South divisional rival. and you do not want to get swept by another NFC South opponent. My keys to success, coaching plan, whatever you want to call it, coaching game plan predictions. I'm going to kind of lean on y'all's back. You have to let Tyler Algier be almost the rock carrier for this game and let Bijan get out wide. You've seen it earlier in the season when you had Bijan and Algier on the field at the same time. You've seen it a lot against the Bucs the first game. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was early week 1, but you've seen a lot of Bijan and Tyler both on the field. Bijan spread out wide. There was one game against the Bills. Bijan rarely lined up as the running back until he was screened back in to line up in the pistol. So you got to get creative. If I'm Zach Robinson, I'm finding a way to disembobble this defense. They do have a nice cornerback over there in Tampa. They do have some pretty decent pass rushers. So the O-line must stand tall for Kirk Cousins if we're taking those deep shots. You got to be able to get the play action started, which was a problem Sunday. The Seattle Seahawks they were on our heels every play action snap. As soon as Kirk was turning around, it was, I got to get the ball away or this is a sack for loss. So the Atlanta Falcons O-line has to play a much better game Thursday night. And, you must get James Pierce Jr.'s 6th sack or 7th sack of the season. I was looking at the numbers today, guys. If James Pierce Jr. puts up 10 sacks, the only other rookie to do so in the NFL was Myles Garrett for the Cleveland Browns. You have 4 games left to do that. Jalen Walker already banged up as it is. You may see him more limited. You'll see a lot more Leonard Floyd, I'm expecting. Maybe some AK as well rotating in. But let James Pierce Jr. get majority of those snaps, guys. We have a freaking monster in JPJ. The only rookie to have a sack in the last 5 games since Micah Parsons. What a name to even be mentioned by. Micah Parsons as a rookie. What a phenomenal pick the Atlanta Falcons got in that guy. You have to make havoc for Baker Mayfield, guys. We've seen it. We played him plenty of times. If you get in Mayfield's face, if you get him, you beat him up a little bit, it's a whole different ball game for the Atlanta Falcons. I will say a big must. David, we spoke about it just last Sunday. The Atlanta Falcons must contain Baker Mayfield in the pocket. It was a big game breaker week 1 when Baker Mayfield was able to extend plays with his legs. Ultimately, that's why you lost that game in the last drive. He was able to run down the field, get them in field goal position, and they won the game. A game that you walked away, one of those 1-point possession games. So the Atlanta Falcons must right their wrongs this Sunday. If Raheem Morris has any hope of staying in Atlanta, I do not think that's possible if you get swept by 2 divisional opponents.
Yeah, like I said, we got to heat up Baker. That's without a doubt. He's already banged up. He's a gamer, but we got to get him to the ground, not just pressure him. We always have problems with him just slipping out of our grasp, and then out of that 10, 15-yard gain, like saying being a backbreaker. But we definitely got to get him to the ground. I think that they got some offensive line issues these last few weeks and everything. Their offense haven't looked real good, but it seems like the Falcons always a get right game for a lot of these teams that we play. Yeah. And so just got to keep the pressure on them. Defense continue to do what they do, and if we can put together 4 quarters and not just a half, always seems to run down in the latter parts of the game. That comes with them being on the field too long. But we got to get a complete game. So ball control, play defense, limit possessions, or do we pass the ball 40 times with Kirk to try to
one of your biggest matchups, David, a guy that has been an impact for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all season, their rookie receiver, Emeka Egbuka. The Atlanta Falcons have got to find a way to keep him out of the end zone. He was a big factor of that week 1 in Atlanta. Emeka Egbuka, or however you say his name, I'm probably slaughtering that. But, I'll give props where props is due. He's a top receiver this year in the NFL, and the Atlanta Falcons must find a way to bracket him in, limit the deep ball passes. As we stated, Mike Evans will be back. I'm sure, I'm sure Baker can't wait to have that connection back in Tampa. One of your star receivers is back and looking to make noise against the NFC South opponent. So the Atlanta Falcons must find a way to play good ball in that secondary. I need a Jesse Bates interception, damn it. I need a Jesse Bates game. It's just I don't like to be this kind of fan, but this year has not been Jesse Bates' year. By far has not been Jesse Bates' best year. It's probably the way it's looking, maybe his last season in Atlanta. So go out on a bang, Jesse. Go out on a bang and make them fight to have to release you. Make them, find a way to keep Jesse if he can get production in his last 4 games. A big game, asking for a big game out of Xavier Watts as well. That those deep balls, we all know Baker can get those deep balls. So, so it's a big matchup for our secondary as well as our O-line. Our O-line. Those boys with Vita Vea in the middle, we're asking Nuzil to do a big game against a big defensive tackle or nose guard here in the NFL that was a big factor in our run game week 1. If we're going to run the ball, it starts with that center, and he's got to be able to block Vita Vea because he's definitely a presence known when he's on the field. So the Atlanta Falcons, big matchup at hand. Any key factors or hot takes that you guys could give me? We're rounding up on the 31-minute mark. All this show is tonight is a pregame show here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Atlanta Falcons Thursday night NFC South matchup, as we call it, the throwdown of the South. If you're new to the channel, man, hit that subscribe button. Head over to YouTube. Our YouTube here, I'm going to display the name. Head over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, man. It helps us out tremendously, pushes us out to more Falcon fans. So please, please, please head over to YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Robert, give me a hot take for Thursday night's matchup. I also want to announce real quick, if you're a daily DFU viewer, please come in Thursday night. Me and Rick will be live during the game, a live reaction, the first ever here on DFU to do a live reaction during the Tampa Bay Buccaneer versus Atlanta Falcons Thursday night showdown. So please be here for that. Robert, hot takes for Thursday night's game.
On the defensive side of the ball, I think that James Pierce gets 2 sacks.
Love it. That's 8 on the season.
And on the offensive side, I'm going to go ahead and say I'll give Kyle Pitts a touchdown.
Okay, Kyle Pitts finds his way back in the end zone. Mr. David, give me a hot take for offensive side of the ball and defense Thursday night.
All right, Kurt. Okay. I don't know. Kurt, 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
One to Bijan, one to Pitts. Let's go there. Just like I said, like defense, we got to hold them under 20 points if we're going to win. If the defense can keep them under 20 points, we got, offense will scrap out 21 points to win the game.
Absolutely. Shout out to Robert over on YouTube. He says, yes, we need Kyle Pitts 8 to go off. Robert, if you're new to the channel, brother, hit that subscribe button. Glad to have you here in the comment section. Mark says, Tampa has been struggling. They very well have just lost to the New Orleans Saints at home. So it is very doable to go in there and spoil their party and keep them out of the playoffs, or keep them. I don't know if we'll keep them out of the playoffs, but we'll keep them from holding that #1 spot. That's for sure. If you go into Tampa and beat them Thursday night in front of the world, people, not just a regular Sunday night game. This is a Thursday night primetime game. Everybody watches the primetime games. So definitely need the Atlanta Falcons to go out and make some noise, man. I'm going to go with my defensive hot take. Jalen Walker walks away with a sack on the day, bringing his total up to 6 sacks on the season. My guy on offense will be Bijan Robinson. Walks away with a total of 120 yards, all total yards for that day. 120. Bijan, the only running back to have, I forget the exact amount of numbers, total yardage that Bijan has had since he came in his rookie season, but he's like number 3 on the list to ever do so. So shout out to Bijan for being that top pick that we picked him to be. Can't say the same about Kyle Pitts, but Bijan Robinson has lived up to that number and has been a solid pick here for Terry and these Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons Fandemic in the chat said, what's good, DFU? What's good, brother? Glad to have you in the chat, man. Hit that like button, brother. Share us to another Falcon fan. Glad to have Fandemic. When you coming on the podcast, man? I've been hollering at you. Got to get you back on here, brother. It's always a good time when Atlanta Falcons Fandemic. So I know it's 2 days away, and we haven't put up so many offensive points, but it's the thing we do here on the podcast, and we're going to continue doing it here with DFU. Give me a score prediction, Robert, for Thursday night's game.
I think we play spoiler, and I think we come away with a 20-17 win.
20-17 win. That sounds like an NFC South division rival game. 20-17, you win by a field goal. Robert said, I think they said he went over 5K yards from scrimmage. He's a dog, bro. Bijan Robinson is a dog. David, give me a score prediction for Thursday night's game.
24-17, win by a touchdown.
24-17. I'm going to go with a 17-10. The Atlanta Falcons walk away with a touchdown victory. Low-scoring game, defensive fight. The Atlanta Falcons find a way to pull it out and just absolutely have the Buccaneers in tears, because after losing to the Saints, then you lose to the Falcons. Tampa fans will be crying in those stands, David.
Yeah. I kind of would rather we're not going to win the division. Just don't want to see the Saints aren't going to win it, so we don't have to worry about those. Now we got to choose between the Panthers and the Bucs.
Well, the Panthers are irrelevant when it comes to my book. They haven't won the NFC South in freaking years, so if they're going to do it this year, whatever. You're still the first round out. You're out the first round, so it don't even matter. Tampa, Mr. Mark says Tampa 21, ATL 27. That would make my night. If the Atlanta Falcons could score 27 points offensively, that means you played some damn good football. You played some good football, and Mr. Mark and David's in the stands to watch it. Would love to see that. Definitely, especially reacting to it live, guys. I'm a whole different monster when it comes to these birds when they in live action.
Oh, if we got any good reception, I'll be popping in. Do the broadcast halftime. We'll get some what's going on in the stadium, win, lose, or draw. Hopefully they got a little better Wi-Fi than what I experienced at Ben's this week. So, but yeah.
That is the truth, brother. Every time I've tried to go live into Ben's, it has been an issue. Mark says Kurt does not lose to the Bucs. Let's look up Kurt's all-time stats and record to the Buccaneers and just see exactly what Kirk Cousins looks like against this NFC opponent. He did sweep them last year with two very nice wins. I mean, Kirk was rolling at that time. Through his career, 3,768 completions on 5,630 attempts for Kirk against the Bucs. 288 passing touchdowns. Oh, that's the wrong stat. 1,671 passing yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with a passer rating of 116.1. His win-loss record against the Bucs is 3-2. Yeah, we'll take it all day. Obviously on October the 4th, he put up a career high of 500 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 36-30 overtime win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Atlanta. Mark says, you like that. We love that, Mark. We love that. Shout out to Mark in the comment section, man. Shout out to Robert. He says,
I'm going to make one correction. We're talking about Bates. Bates, he's on the contract for 1 more year, so we don't have to worry about it.
Okay. What do you save if you cut a Jesse Bates? Do you know that? Well, I'll read this.
Well, his cap hit is $14 million for next year, so and I think we paid him all his guaranteed money already, so it will be just a loss. It will be up there.
Nothing.
Yeah, while y'all doing that, I'll pull up the dead money that we cut him.
Mr. Robert said it has been said that JP, Mr. 27, is a glitch in the matrix. 2 sacks on Baker will confirm that assessment. I seen a post today, Robert, David. Today, a post came out on Facebook that said, what did it say exactly? I'm trying to word this to where I don't word it the wrong way, but it was a picture of Vic Beasley and a picture of James Pierce Jr., and it said, does this look familiar? The season stats, the production that you gained out of Vic Beasley. I would say it doesn't look familiar at all. I think JPJ brings a different style, a different mentality to this defense. I don't think and this is just me speaking personally, I don't think JPJ wants to be a preacher. And I think he will continue his journey here in Atlanta as a football player. I think he will be a big, big signing for the Atlanta Falcons in the next years to come. JPJ, we're talking at this rate as a rookie. John Abraham, the legend of the Atlanta Falcons, the sack leader of the Atlanta Falcons, said, if JPJ could put up 5 sacks and Jalen Walker put up 5 sacks, you won the draft. Well, guys, we have won the draft. JPJ is at 6, Walker's at 5. The Atlanta Falcons, in John Abraham's eyes, have won last year's draft. That's enough for me to be sold on JPJ. Atlanta Falcons Fandemic says, don't be surprised if we lose Bates for youth. Mr. Roberts says, I think we keep Jesse unless we get a trade offer. Atlanta Falcons Fandemic says, yeah, I posted that comparison between Beasley and Pierce. Preacher, I was talking in terms of expectations, not skill set. So it's Fandemics that posted. I knew I read it somewhere. So Fandemics, since you're here on the podcast, so I'll ask you a question. What do you think James Pierce Jr. could be for this defense? Obviously, he's already an impact player. He's already put up 6 sacks on this season. What could James Pierce Jr. bring to this defense? And, I've already seen it as a rookie out of Jalen Walker. I feel like he will be the face of this defense. You see it in the mic'd up videos. Like, Jalen Walker is a leader. He was in college. I think he'll continue to be that as he gets that veteranship here in the NFL. But, Robert, I'll ask you as well. You were big on JPJ coming out of the draft. And he was your first mock draft prediction here at DFU. I will say you hit that tremendously. He wasn't the first pick, but we traded up in the first round and was able to grab a James Pierce Jr. Robert, what does James Pierce Jr. bring to this defense that, I personally think no other edge could bring in this upcoming draft?
Pierce reminds me a lot of Chuck Smith from the original Dirty Birds from the late 90s. He's got a high motor, but he's as long as he's been, with the Falcons. I mean, I know he's just a rookie. He's actually, to me, from what I'm seeing, is kind of like a quiet leadership. All the attention's gone to Jalen Walker, and rightfully so. He played his college ball at Athens, where James Pierce played for the enemy up the road. But he just reminds me so much of Chuck Smith. I mean, is he as big as Chuck Smith was? No, I don't think he was as big size-wise, but he just brings a lot of heart, a lot of energy, a high motor. I mean, he's just a dog, man. He is happy to be a pro. He's happy to be in Atlanta, and he's going to be one of the building blocks, and I think there's better days ahead. I think we're going to have a great defense for years to come. Jalen and Pierce are going to be the cornerstones.
Yeah, I absolutely,
Go ahead.
I absolutely hated to see us play Tennessee as a Georgia Bulldog with Pierce on the other side. I'm getting more the vibe. I'm gonna throw a name out there with the vibe that I get from him is a little high accolade, Javon Curse. When I kind of think, I kind of think about him in that mode. He came in kind of a slight build. He put on a little weight. He was able to keep his athleticism. And that's the kind of vibe I get out of JPJ out of
the twitchiness that James Pierce brings to that D line, man. Like, I mean, he's so fast. Like, you go back and watch tape, his hand movement is so fast, and when he masters those skills, bro, it can be dangerous for
and the spin move he put on. I was about to jump out the bleachers when he because he's adding to his speed rush. We've seen the power. And, that's really the first time I've seen him this year with a quick spin move and that work to get to the quarterback. We definitely got something with him.
Atlanta Falcons Fandemic says James Pierce Jr. is definitely a Pro Bowl caliber. If we continue to develop him, he'll surpass a lot of what other edge rushers have done in the past game. And he'll make a lot of noise doing so. I 100% agree, Atlanta Falcons Fandemic. James Pierce Jr. could be a staple point for this defense. There was a podcast where Abraham was with, forget the name, the Water Boys, and he was speaking on that, he was a little scared that one of these new guys was going to take his franchise record here in Atlanta. He really thinks that these guys are the next real deal here in Atlanta. So definitely big props to James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker. Mark says JPJ reminds me of Javon Curtis. You can tell him and David hang out a good bit, huh? Mr. David and Mark. Mark says, "Sir, you stole that."
No.
Falcon fans, man, hit that like button, subscribe, bring the comments here to the chat, man. We're glad to have everybody here on a Thursday. I keep saying Thursday. On a Tuesday night at 9:18, man. The chat is active. Love to see it. Love to have you guys here to talk Falcon football with. If you're new to the channel, man, hit that subscribe button. Can't express enough how we want to hit that 1K mark, man. We're at 604 starting this podcast tonight. So subscribe, guys. We can't do it without you. With that being said, David, Robert, I appreciate you guys coming through tonight. Give me your shout-outs for tonight's show. We're rounding up on that 45-minute mark. Busy day tomorrow at the work office. So shout-outs for tonight, boys.
Well, I always, the good Lord above, I like to thank the fam, as we always do. Robert M. 4329. That's one of the other guys that hangs out with us on, our Wednesday, Hooters crew. I appreciate him for, coming in, sharing his comments and everything, just trying to, keep everybody engaged. And, definitely appreciate you, Robert, for coming out, joining us tonight with,
Yes, sir.
DFU. So, keep logging on. We'll get that subscription and that bell, that notification bell on your phone too, so you can, won't miss any of the DFU content that comes out.
Yes, sir. Love to see it, Robert. Glad to have you in the podcast tonight. Appreciate the comments that you steady brought to the show tonight. Guys, your comments really keep this show rolling, man. So without your guys' comments, bro, we kind of run out of topics to talk about, especially when it's the kind of season it's been here in Atlanta. Now, if these Dirty Birds were #1 in the NFC South, we sit here and talk for 2 hours straight. We could even do it tonight, but we all three got to get to work in the morning. Mr. Davis got a flight to catch, so definitely got to get ready for that. Robert, give me a shout-out for tonight, brother. Glad to have you here tonight. It's been a minute since we were able to sit here and talk Dirty Bird football. It's always a blessing to have you on the show. Always a good presence. Robert, shout-outs for tonight, brother.
Well, shout out to the good Lord above. Without him, nothing's possible. Shout out to you guys for coming on tonight and letting me be a part of it. Always appreciate it. Even though it's been a disappointing season, shout out to our birds. They're the reason we do this. And, shout out to our viewers, our subscribers. Thank you for your support. Keep it coming. We want to get to that 1K mark. And as always, shout out to my family, Brianna, Peyton, Zach, and Christy. I love you all. And as always, rise up.
Rise up. Mr. Dave, you got any shout-outs for tonight's show?
Well, I just gave mine for Mark,
All right, cool.
Drop mine. For Robert.
I just didn't want to skip nobody. I've been known to do it here on the podcast. So
shout
out to all the diehards, man. All the diehards that are rocking with us, even through a rough season. It's been 8 long years since the Atlanta Falcons have walked away with a winning season. This year marks the 8th year mark. So continue to route with them Dirty Birds, man, because we're going to continue to fly with them here at DFU. Mr. Robert says, keep up the good work, guys. Appreciate you, Robert. Glad to have you here tonight. Give a shout out to my other co-hosts, Rick and Philip, that were not able to make it tonight. Cody as well at the Christmas lunch party. Cody better come back with some gifts, man. Cody missing the podcast for the work Christmas party. Come on, Cody. I know you're watching this, Cody. That's why I'm taking a shot at you. Philip's still on the roof cleaning the gutters. But shout out to everybody that came in tonight. Appreciate all the likes, the new subscriptions, man. You guys really make my day when I see that number climb, even if it's about 1. So thank you to all the new subscribers, all the new viewers, everybody that's watching over on Twitter. If you would, please head over to YouTube, man, guys. Hit that subscribe button for us. Cannot do it without your support, man. We'll sit here and talk to a blank screen if we have to, but it's much funner when we got people in the comment section. So as always, shout out to the wife and the kids in the living room. I don't know if you've heard them screaming here and there throughout the podcast. So this is a uncut podcast here at DFU. Shout out to all the comments that came through Atlanta Falcons Fandemic with one. He says, sorry, I missed the rest of the show. I'll go back and watch it. We appreciate you, Fandemic. Hit the inbox, brother. We got to get you in on a special guest appearance here soon. As always, man, shout out to them Dirty Birds. Got to pull out the win Thursday night. Real quick before you leave, please tune in Thursday night. Me and Rick will be live with a first reaction, live reaction against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mr. David will be dropping in in and out throughout that podcast. He'll be attending the game, so we'll get some live coverage from Tampa Bay as it is. So always fun, good time here on the podcast to do that. Our first ever live reaction. Hoping to get a good bit of viewers come through and see how the DFU crew reacts on game day. Be here or be square. As always, rise up, A-Town down, man. We appreciate y'all. We out.